Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. We have another quickie podcast for you here today, and we're talking about intentional social media for speakers. Okay, so let's just say that I'm wearing my decision maker hat and I'm out looking for a speaker on whatever topic. Maybe it's leadership, maybe it's communication, maybe it's happiness in the workplace, doesn't matter. And I narrow my list to 5 candidates. And then I set my team on it and say, okay, go and vet these people. And what they are going to then do is go through your social media footprint. Okay, like first landing spot might be your website, and we look at your video. That's how you'd get on that short list in the first place. But then, as kind of like a disqualifier, we're going to go all the way back, sometimes for years, in your social media history and take a look at some of the things that you have talked about. Why? Because our goal is to lower our risk when hiring you. That's exactly why. And so let's say I'm looking at one candidate number 3 quite seriously, but then somebody unveils a social media argument that they got on over with you on Twitter or wherever over, take your pick of topic. Maybe it's the Will Smith slap. Maybe it's DeSantis versus Disneyland. Maybe it's masks. Maybe it's an election. Maybe it's Elon Musk buying Twitter. Or any kind of comment or idea or story that you've posted about something that does not align with the topic that you're being hired for. What basically people are using this tool for, your social media footprint for, is to disqualify you. Now, does that mean that you don't post your heart? If it's something that's really important to you, you have to say to yourself, that's a hill I'm willing to die on. If it's something that's really important to you, if it's something that you really want to stand for, then by all means go for it. But just be aware. And I've got a worksheet for you that you can download if you go into the show notes for this particular podcast, Intentional Social Media for Speakers. You can grab it. Head on over to speakerlauncher.com. Click on the podcast and you can grab those show notes. What I want you to kind of outline is 2 things. The first chunk is, what will I stand for? Maybe women's reproductive rights is really a passion for you, and you do not want to see, well, I'm not even going to say what I want to say because I don't know if I want to die on that hill. So what are you going to stand for? And what are your topics that you will avoid? Maybe I feel like almost everything right now is divisive. I think maybe we can all agree that Russia going into Ukraine is something horrifying and that we're all watching it in real time. But I don't know. I don't even know if that's a topic that's safe. And so first we're going to have a list of, topics, what I stand for. And then we're going to have a list of topics I'll avoid. Now, let me give you our 6-point checklist because I really want you to be thinking about some of these things. First of all, let's back it up a little bit and talk about what's the point in social media anyway if it doesn't all drive back to your thought leadership. If you are getting a lot of likes by posting your dinner, a picture of your plate, which a lot of people, and I've seen some pretty amazing meals out there, be aware of whether or not this is something that is going to help or hurt your expertise and your thought leadership. Now, let me give you an example. I love sales expert Colleen Francis, and I watched her. I traveled with Colleen, kind of through her, all throughout, kind of like an African safari. And she did post some of the interesting meals because, what she's being served in Africa would be quite unique. And did that help or hurt Colleen's expertise in sales? I would say if I'm her client who's about to maybe hire Colleen again, that I feel closer to her now. So I want you to just kind of think about it as a whole. Will this post help or hurt my expertise and thought leadership? It's just something to think about. I'm just giving you food for thought. I mean, literally in this situation, food on the plate for thought. Here's checklist item number 2. So number 1 is, will this post help or hurt my expertise and thought leadership? Number 2 is, am I opening a can of worms on a divisive issue? Okay, be prepared for what is about to happen. Off comes the lid of the can. I have posted on some things that I almost immediately regretted because of some of the things that were coming out in the thread under my brand. And one of them, I'll talk about it a little bit here because I never did. I thought about doing a podcast on it, and then my team was like, nah, too hot. Was the Will Smith slap. Okay, so my husband and I just finished reading his book, or listening to his book, I should say. I think it was like 16 hours on Audible. And I had posted about that book, it's called Will, on Instagram, and said this was one of the best produced audiobooks ever. There was music on it. He played parts on it, did voices. It was just the most fantastic book ever. And so because we had kind of a little bit of insight into him, and was Will Smith wrong for doing what he did? Of course he was. There's no debating that. But I posted that one of the big regrets of his life, which takes up like the first third of the book, is that he regretted never helping his mom overcome abuse from his father. He never intervened, and he called himself a coward. And so this was my kind of idea, was that he laughed at the joke, he looked at Jada, he saw the look on her face, and something happened, and he snapped, right? And all the way back to his childhood and not protecting his mom, et cetera, et cetera. This was my philosophy on that. And so I posted it and almost immediately regretted it. I had to actually turn off comments on it because people, number one, were so divided on it. And I wasn't certainly justifying anything that he had done. It just felt like it got ugly. And so was that something that was good or bad for my brand? Probably wasn't helpful, but I know many of you posted about it as well and probably felt like you had unleashed a can of worms on a divisive issue. That one really surprised me how divisive it was. So then the next piece of the checklist. So number 1, will this post help or hurt my expertise and thought leadership? Number 2, am I opening a can of worms on a divisive issue? Number 3, is it worth it? You might, for that one, I'm going to say no, that wasn't worth it. I felt achy afterwards. So for me, that was a no. For many of you who posted, you might have been, yeah, that was totally worth it. Okay. Now, checklist item number 4 is, does this post align with my brand? And I will say that the Jane Atkinson / speaker launcher / the Wealthy Speaker School brand, we pride ourselves on putting positive things out into the world. And so maybe I thought I was doing the right thing by doing that, but had I looked at my checklist, I may have backed it up. And my team, I wanted to do a podcast about it, and my team shut that down because it wasn't worth it. Although I think maybe, my angle on it did align with my brand. Now, let me give you number 5. Okay, number 4 is, does this post align with my brand? Number 5, am I just venting or bitching about something? Now, that may be your brand. People may have come to expect that from you. And if that's the case, okay, perfectly in line. But if you are a motivational speaker whose job is to make people feel good, then you need to give some thought to whether or not you are going to hit the publish on the post or not. See, the important word in the title of this is intentional. What is your intention? And I just want to kind of circle back to that and make sure that everybody is posting with intention. Am I just venting or bitching about something? What's my intention here? That's really where that's going. The last point on the checklist, am I putting something into the world that aligns with who I am? Am I putting something into the world that aligns with who I am? Something to think about. Does it align with kind of who I am as a human being? And when I see social injustice, I talked about in the blog post that I did on this, that during the Black Lives Matter movement, I did a podcast with Orlando Bowen. And Orlando, who had a run-in with some corrupt police officers. And I remember him talking to me, I don't know if it made the podcast, but at one point, he talked to me about when he was in jail. He looked at the people who were there with him, and I think there was somebody there who also didn't belong in jail, but he would have had no means because he was new to the country. He would have had nobody to call and no money to hire a lawyer and nothing to fight any kind of injustice with. And I thought that story, it's landed with me. Now, okay, so I put out this podcast talking to Orlando about his story. And of course, I have police officers in my family. And so that is a divisive issue, right? But here's the thing. I really prefaced it by saying, look, my niece is a police officer, and she is a fantastic human being and a fantastic police officer. And many of you likely have the same people in your family who you know are good cops. They're doing a good job out there. But there is that small percentage out there that is not, it is part of the reason why the whole Black Lives Matter movement got started. And so that was a hill I was willing to die on because it was a social justice issue. And I have to tell you, that a lot has changed for me, even in just thinking about who do I have on the podcast. Somebody called me out and said, I had done a post, I had done my Tuesday blog post, and that particular Tuesday happened to be a day when social media was supposed to be quiet in support of Black Lives Matter. And somebody called me out on it and said, and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't get the memo. I didn't actually know about this idea. Can't remember what that part of the movement was called. But she did say something that just triggered me to look back at the lineup of guests I had on the podcast, and I realized that I had not just been conscious. I hadn't been intentional about having more people of other than me, middle-aged white woman, other people who weren't like me on the show. And I have made a very concerted effort to change that, and I'm hoping you all have seen that. Now, there was another place that I've recognized the same thing. It went without thought. Probably like 10 years ago, it was maybe 15 or 20 years ago that I wrote The Wealthy Speaker, the first version, and then I rewrote it for The Wealthy Speaker 2.0, and I recognized that I didn't give any thought as to whose stories I was telling when I did the success stories portion of the book. And so I will be rewriting that book, The Wealthy Speaker 3.0. I'm hoping will come out in the fall, and I'll be rewriting it this summer for that exact reason. Just we evolve as human beings, and we need to, I like being able to evolve in front of your eyes. And I hope that you're doing it in front of your clients' eyes, and that we are putting out into the world things that support our viewpoints, and we are standing up for what we really believe in. Okay? So, the word intention is the most important word here. Okay, so make sure you go into the show notes and grab our 6-point worksheet. We also have a little editorial calendar at the bottom of that worksheet, because having kind of like a topic of the month can be incredibly helpful when it comes to posting on social media. If you're kind of laying out all of the things that you could write and talk about, and then map out month by month which ones you're going to cover, I think that gives you more intention. And that's what this is all about. Now, as you all have known from listening to this podcast, some of you for years, some of you perhaps are new. If so, welcome. Thank you all for joining us. There's something that we don't typically do, and that is promote. We top and tail our podcast with things that say, come on over and take a look at what we've got. But we don't typically spend a lot of time promoting something. Today, I just want to give you a couple of minutes on something cool that has just happened over here at the Wealthy Speakers School. So we have been evolving our offering for probably the last 2 years. And we continue to simplify and simplify and simplify and simplify. And the team and I have what should we do? How can we make this the easiest, most valuable, yet irresistible offer that people could possibly have? And I think we finally nailed it. I think we have finally come to a place that I feel like there is nobody out there who can offer you something of better quality at a lesser price. Okay, so let me lay it out for you. We have the Wealthy Speakers School. Inside the school, there is a course called Ready, Aim, Fire, which you all kind of have heard me talk about, Ready, Aim, Fire, and all of the things that are in there. There are 15 lessons in Ready, 25 lessons, I think, in Aim, and another 15 in Fire. So a significant number of short, bite-sized lessons inside our online course. But what was happening was when people would go through the course by themselves, they would have questions. And so we developed also the Wealthy Speaker community. And we used to price them separately, but guess what? We have gone so streamlined and so simple on this that today we're now offering everything that's inside of our school. So all of the lessons in the course, all of the worksheets. We have a 77-page workbook with worksheets on all kinds of things, templates for agreements and emails and things like that. We really show you exactly how to get booked, all of the things from the beginning all the way through to actually booking the business. And inside the course, we also have a whole bunch of master's classes that we sell for $500. And the team and I came up with this idea that said, look, we're just going to simplify it. We're going to make it a no-brainer. For $197 per month, you can come in and you can stay for as many months as you want. You can leave anytime. For $197 per month, you're going to get the course. You're going to get the worksheets. You're going to get the master's classes. And you're going to get our entire community and all of the group coaching that goes on every month. We usually do at least 6, sometimes 7 coaching calls per month with our group on all different topics. We have Ready, Aim, and Fire topics, and then we have more master's level things with me. I mean, $197 a month is something that, the team resisted for a while. Are you sure? Do you really want to give it away? And number one, we have a motto over here that we don't make decisions based on fear. But number two, if somebody comes in and they don't see $200 worth of value in that first month, then okay, that's fine. They can go. But I think that if we just focus on giving our school students value, and we have pop-up classes every month. We do a lot actually on mindset these days, and I feel like that is what's going to make everybody so unstoppable. That's what's getting us the results inside the school with and it's bringing people to actually booking more business for themselves. We have a member named Kwesi who just posted on social media that in all of last year, he booked 18 speeches. And in the first quarter of this year, he booked, I think it was 18 or 19 speeches. And so those are the kinds of results that we are getting inside the Wealthy Speakers School. So, okay, we're unleashing it. Check out, drop us a line, jane@speakerlauncher.com, or go on over to wealthyspeakerschool.com. I don't even know if we have the offer updated over there yet. I think we do. I mean, it's so fresh and brand new and off the presses that I think we have the whole back end set up. But please be our beta tester. Let us know. $197 a month for everything that we do over here in the Wealthy Speakers School. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing better out there. There's no way. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now.